Let's bring in America's accountant. Good time for him, Dan Geltrude, and Rosecliff founding and managing partner Mike Murphy. What a duo here we have. Dan, I want to start with you first because you're a CPA. You're known as America's accountant, in fact. There are a lot of changes in the tax code. I just did mine last night, as a matter of fact. I mailed it in this morning. Is that causing problems, particularly for small?
Well, of course it is, although PPP specifically is not taxable if properly used. I think what we're seeing here, David, is that people, just because of what was happening with the pandemic, were not thinking that far ahead related to what was going to happen with their tax return. So they took some missteps related to their withholding and other issues. And that's why some people are getting a bit of a surprise. But on the topic of taxes, what we see coming down the road now, that's a different story. People need to be prepared because taxes are not going down in the future. You need to plan for taxes going up.
That's exactly right. And you're right. Yeah. Well, Dan, I do have a lot of sympathy for the people who on paper look like millions. Cash, all of the profit they make is taxed as personal income, but they pour it all back into their company. They're driving 10-year-old cars. They're still paying a mortgage on their house. I mean, you know, again, you could look rich on paper and the politicians say that's where we're going to get the rich guys. But when it comes down to it, they're not that rich. They pour all their money back in their business, right?
There's no doubt about it, David. There's a misconception that just because people own their own business, that they're automatically rich, and nothing could be further from the truth. These are people who have decided to risk it all, to go out on their own and try to have success. The last thing they need, what's totally unwanted and unwarranted, is for the government to come in and say, you know what, we're going to make it that much tougher, as if they're not doing that already. Employment benefits, which now is making it impossible for small business to find people to work.
Absolutely. We just talked to a business owner in the last hour who's having terrible time. He's having to pay $20 an hour to get people in. Dan, bottom line is here, we've got an inflationary environment. We've got problems hiring people. The inflation in particular is a problem. Which concerns you most, and particularly for the small businesses in America?
Well, inflation right now is a killer. And let's not talk about inflation coming. Yeah. Inflation is here, David.
Right.
Stuff costs more money. We don't need an intersection on charts.